Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today we will study the important topic bonding and structure. Bonding means the way in which the atoms they join together tightly to form the bigger particles called the molecules, and structure means the arrangement of the particles, the bonded atoms or the molecules. Important points in bonding. Valence electrons, they are very important in bonding because valence electrons, the electrons in the last shell. The inner stable shells, they are not involved in the bonding, and the atoms, they tend to gain the noble gas structure, and we know that the noble gases have stable valence shells. Duplet and octet rule. We know that the electrons, they are revolving around the nucleus in their respective energy levels or shells. The first shell, which is the shell just outside the nucleus, the maximum number of electrons in the first shell is 2. So if any atom has 2 electrons in the first shell, then it is stable. If it is having less than 2 electrons, then its first shell would be unstable. For example, hydrogen has just 1 electron in its valence shell. It has only one shell, and that is the valence shell. So it has 1 electron. So it tends to have, it would gain 1 more electron to have 2 in its valence shell to have the stability. And the maximum number of electrons in shell 2 is 8. If there are less than 8 electrons in the second shell, then it would be unstable. For example, oxygen. Oxygen has total 8 electrons, 2 in the first shell and 6 in the valence shell, which is the second shell of oxygen. So being second shell having 6 electrons, it is unstable. So oxygen would like to have 2 more in its valence shell to have 8 electrons for stability. The third shell, maximum number of electrons in the third shell is 18. But if there are more electrons, then 8 electrons go in the third shell because it is stable with 8 electrons, and rest of the electrons, they go in the fourth shell. So here we have noble gas structure for some of the noble gases. We have helium. It has 2 electrons. So these 2 electrons, they are in its valence shell. So it has only one shell with 2 electrons. So it is stable, helium gas. Then we have neon gas. It has total 10 electrons, 2 in the first shell and 8 in the second shell. So 8 in the second shell, that is the stable shell. Then we have argon gas. It has 2 in the first shell, 8 in the second shell and 8 in the third shell. So its 3 shells, they are stable.